Hello, everybody, and welcome to Max Tutorials. We are going to work on inequalities, and we had one video where we did this before, but we didn't work on flipping the sign. Now we're going to talk about flipping the sign and when we do that. And before we do, I just want to remind you that this is all found on maxtutorials.com, and I'm going nice and slowly to show you that inequalities are really just the same as just doing normal equations. You just replace the greater than with the equal sign, and that's the only difference. But you do have to flip it on one special situation. So let's go for it. As I said in the ones before, you can add and subtract all you want. So you don't, some students will see, look, a negative sign, I got to flip. And that's not true. I'm subtracting. You're allowed to subtract all you want. Okay, none of that is a big deal. The only time you flip is if you multiply or divide by a negative number. Multiply or divide by a positive number, not a problem at all. It's only when you multiply or divide by a negative number. Again, adding, subtracting, positive, negative number, none of that matters because you're adding, subtracting. Only multiplying, dividing, and only when it's negative. So when I see a negative x, that's like a negative 1x. So I'm dividing each side by a negative 1. Once I do that, that is a situation where you have to flip the sign. Okay, so you're going to see flipping all over on this one. Okay, and then maybe on the next video we're going to mix them up, and then we'll have to choose. So this one's important, the A, so you can get a handle of the flip. But then B and C are really important because there's going to be problems that are going to try to trick you on when you should flip and when you shouldn't. And so when you see them mixed, that's when I think you're going to feel really comfortable. Let's go on to number 2. I'm going to divide each side by a negative 4. Because I'm dividing by a negative number, I'm going to flip the sign. Okay? This one I'm going to add by 5. This is a two-step problem. Negative x is greater or equal to 12. Now I divide by the negative 1. Because I'm dividing by a negative number, now I'm going to flip. And don't forget also that a positive divided by a negative is a negative. Don't forget to do the right math too, right? All right, I'm dividing by a negative number. Once I divide by a negative number, I've got to flip the sign. Okay, I'm subtracting. Oh, negative number, got to flip the sign. No, 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 not yet. Okay, I can add and subtract all I want. The negative numbers don't matter. But now I'm going to divide by that negative number. Now is the time to flip the sign. Okay, let's go on to number 6 here. I'm going to add 10 to both sides because we want letters on one side, numbers on the other. And again, if I'm doing the math part of this, the solving too quick, go back to, oh, sorry, I forgot the X. Go to maxtutorials.com, and what I'd like you to do is look at chapter 2. Because chapter 2, I go step by step on how to solve equations, and you'll be able to go this quick as well after you do that. All right. I divided by a negative number, so I have to flip the sign. It was greater than, now it's going to be less than. Going on, now here I'm going to multiply by a 3. All right, well, I'm multiplying by a positive number, so I don't do anything to the sign. I just leave it alone. But now look, now I've got to do the negative 1, and I'm going to get x. Now I flip the sign. Okay, so that's the situation where you do it. Let's go ahead and do the other column now. I'm going to multiply each side by, that's not a cross out, I'm just doing a multiplication dot right there, okay? And once I multiply each side by 2, I drop down a negative x less than or equal to 18. And now that I have to divide by my negative 1, now I flip the sign. Boom, 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 boom. Okay? Here it's a two-step problem. I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. I'm going to get negative 5x is less than 25. But now I have to divide by my negative. If I divide by a negative, now I flip the sign. Okay? How about this one? Okay, let's go ahead and add our 12 because we want to get letters on one side, numbers on the other. And once I do that, now I get what I want. Now I'm going to divide each side by a negative 6. Boom, x, flip the sign, and that's where I do that. Okay? Number 11, subtract. Remember, you can add and subtract all you want. It doesn't matter what the sign is. You keep it the same. Don't change anything. Now that I divide by a negative 2, now is where you change the sign. Okay? Going on to number 12, I want to divide each side by a negative 7. I'm dividing by a negative number. What do? That's what we do. Okay? Now I'm going to subtract 1 to both sides. I don't change a thing because I can add and subtract all I want. I'm going to multiply by 4. Now I get a negative x is less than 20. And once I divide by the negative 1, now x is greater, because I have to flip the sign now, a negative 20. Last one, I'm going to add 16 to both sides. Boom, boom. Negative 8x is less than or equal to a 56. And once I divide, I am dividing by a negative number, multiplying or dividing by a negative number. Now you have to flip the sign. So on all these, there was a flip. So we did in the last section a bunch of problems where you don't flip. Now every problem we do flip. So do you feel like you understand when you do and when you don't? Because we went pretty slowly and methodically on this. My hope is now that we did, you're going to feel really comfortable in the B on this. Because remember, this was version A. When I do version B, we're going to mix them up. I think you're going to feel super comfortable. If not, watch me go through it, and then hopefully you'll feel that way after that. I'll see you in version B. Let's go over there right now and do it.